Hi, this is Kathy Atkinson. I'm the owner of Mind, Body, and Soul, and we're here today for another online mini class. This one is on garlic for intestinal health. Now, I'm sure that there are going to be a lot of questions. There always are. And because I try to keep these mini classes pretty short, right around 15 minutes, I probably won't have time to answer your questions during the mini class. So what I'd like you to do is, if you have a question, just go ahead and post it in the comments. And then tomorrow on my website, I'll create a blog, a question and answer blog, and answer hopefully all your questions on the garlic mini class that we do tonight. So I just want to thank you all for joining me. I'm really excited for this class. Now, you've probably heard about garlic. You've probably cooked with it more than likely, but I'm not sure that everyone understands or realizes that garlic has a very long history of medicinal use. It's been used medicinally for probably more than 5,000 years, but there are some documentation of garlic being used medicinally 5,000 years ago in different countries, in like China and India and in Egypt. So in Egypt and India, it was 5,000 years ago. In Babylonia, it was 4,500 years ago. And in China, at least 2,000 years ago, but they think there might even be some documentation showing medicinal use as much as 4,000 years ago. So even Hippocrates, who is the father of Western medicine, used garlic as a prescription for over 26 different ailments. And so garlic has been around for a very long time, used medicinally, and it's got some really great benefits. Now, some of the therapeutic properties of garlic include it's very antibacterial. In fact, it's a broad spectrum antibacterial, has broad spectrum antibacterial properties. It's also antimicrobial. It's an antioxidant, anti-cancer, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. It lowers lipids in your blood. It lowers cholesterol. It lowers the quote-unquote bad cholesterol and actually raises the good cholesterol, so that's great. It's anti-inflammatory, and it's very nutrient dense. It's got a good supply of manganese, about 26% of the recommended daily allowance of manganese. But it also has vitamin B, vitamin B6 specifically, some vitamin C, selenium, as well as copper and potassium and phosphorus and iron and vitamin B1. So how do people use garlic? So what I want to do, talk a little bit about how other people use it, and then I'll talk about how to use it, and then I'll talk a little bit about how I use it for intestinal health. Okay? So people will use garlic to boost their immune system. In fact, there was a very large 12-week study where they had a control group, and one group was given garlic supplements and one group was given a placebo. And the number of people in the garlic group who got a cold was 63% less than those in the control group. So the control group got sick 63% more often than the garlic group. But in the garlic group, those who did get sick, the length of their symptoms was reduced from 5 days in the placebo group to 1.5 days in the garlic group. So that's quite a substantial reduction. People have also used garlic to reduce blood pressure. Now, it takes quite a bit, about 4 cloves of garlic a day in this particular study to have any benefits, but in this particular study, the people who took the 4 cloves of garlic a day, it was as effective in lowering their high blood pressure as a prescription medication that they were studying as well. So that's kind of interesting. As I mentioned, it lowers cholesterol levels. It lowers the LDL by 10 to 15%, but it also raises the HDL levels in your blood, so that's great. It contains antioxidants, and antioxidants protect against cell damage, including aging, which is kind of nice. But also there have been studies that have shown that it helps with dementia and Alzheimer's. So if you worry about getting old and looking old, or being old timers, some people call it old timers, having memory loss, then garlic might be something that you want to consider. But it's also used for heavy metal detox. In fact, it protects the organs from heavy metal toxicity, from damage caused by heavy metal toxicity. But there was a 4-week study that showed that taking garlic reduced lead levels in blood by 19%. So that's pretty substantial as well. But it also, another study that I read said that it allows heavy metals to become water soluble, which means that they are easier to flush out of the body. So that's a good benefit too. It also has been shown to balance hormone levels, specifically estrogen. So for women who were menopausal, it helped to balance those estrogen levels. And because of balancing estrogen levels, it helped with reduction of bone loss. So that was really nice too. It helped reduce the risk of cancer, and specifically stomach cancer and colon cancer and esophageal cancer and pancreatic cancer and breast cancer. And this was taking about 1 clove a day, or between 2 and 5 grams. So a lot of it depends on the size of the clove of garlic. But 2 to 5 grams helped with the symptoms, helped reduce the risk of cancer, of those types of cancer. It also helps with hair loss. There is an autoimmune disease called alopecia. I don't remember how that's pronounced specifically, but it showed that taking garlic oil and applying it topically helped make the medication more effective. And then it also helps regulate blood sugar levels. So it was useful for diabetes. So how do you use garlic? Of course, I mean, you can cook it. However, what they found is that cooking it actually reduces some of the benefits because it's killing some of those enzymes. You can eat it raw. You can roast it. You can age it. What else? Oh, garlic oil. Okay. So, but garlic oil was shown to have some high levels of toxicity, so it wasn't really recommended. And cooking wasn't really recommended because it did minimize some of the benefits. So the best way is believed to be eating it raw or aged. Okay, so that old garlic may not be that bad. So how do I use it? So I mentioned that garlic has antibacterial properties, and when you chop up garlic, it begins to release a compound called allicin. Allicin is a very strong and natural antibiotic. So it releases this as part of a self-defense mechanism, okay? And so when you chop up garlic, it starts to release this compound. That, I mean, if you want to be technical, the compound actually becomes allicin as time goes on. But when you chop it up, it starts to release the allicin. At about 6¼ minutes, there's a surge of allicin. Scientists aren't sure why it has this surge, but there's a surge of allicin. It dies back down, and then it continues to release, and another 6¼ minutes goes by, and then there's another surge of allicin. So when I use my garlic, I'll chop it up, and I'll let it sit on my cutting board for about 14 minutes. When I do that, I've gone through 2 surge cycles, so I know that I've got a good supply of this natural antibiotic, okay, along with all the other antimicrobial properties and anti-cancer properties and all those other things. So then I'll take this chopped up garlic that sat there on my cutting board for 14 minutes, and I'll take a level teaspoonful, and I'll swallow it with a glass of water like a pill, like I would a pill. I don't chew it up because I don't want to have that garlic taste, but I'll swallow it like a pill, and then I'll go to bed. So I do this right before I go to bed at night. And what happens, because of the antibacterial properties, when I take the garlic and I've chopped it up, it's sat there on the cutting board for 14 minutes, all night long, these antibacterial properties are killing unfriendly bacteria in my body. But the neat thing is that garlic is a prebiotic. So not only is it killing the unfriendly bacteria, it is also feeding the friendly bacteria. And so by doing that, I'm getting kind of a double benefit from the garlic. Now people will say, oh my gosh, don't you smell like garlic? Don't you, taste garlic all night long? Don't you burp up garlic? And I mean, the reason I do it at night before I go to bed is because if I'm burping up garlic, I don't know it because I'm asleep. And my husband never complains, so I must not be burping up too much garlic. And I don't smell like garlic. No one has ever said, in fact, usually when they say, well, don't you smell like garlic? I ask them, well, I don't know, do I smell like garlic? And the answer is always no. So I will take my garlic, I'll chop it up, I'll let it sit on my cutting board for 14 minutes, and then I'll take it a level spoonful, just swallow it like a pill with a glass of water, and then I go to bed, and all night long I get the benefits of the garlic, killing the unfriendly bacteria and feeding the friendly bacteria. And then I wake up and I can start my day. Now, as I mentioned, I am sure that you're going to have a lot of other questions. This was I try to keep these mini classes pretty short, 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes go a little bit over because, I like to talk, especially about stuff that I find interesting. And health and wellness is one of those things. So if you have some questions, please go ahead and mention them in the comments. And tomorrow I will have a Q&A on garlic and intestinal health that I will hopefully be able to answer all of the questions that you have. Now, my website is mindbodyandsoulonline.com. Soul is spelled with S-O-L-E. And I would love to have you ask me some questions, and I'll share the answers tomorrow on the blog post. And thank you very much for joining me. Again, my name is Kathy Atkinson. I'm the owner of Mind, Body, and Soul. And I hope this has been informative for you. Talk to you later. Thanks. Bye-bye.